Hey guys, I hope y'all had a good Christmas break, and we're back at it. Day 1 back to co-op. I have kids with fevers, so you're getting a video. I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet and simple so I don't have to upload so many. Okay, chapter 9 is mostly about invertebrates. We're just gonna hit the high points of some invertebrates, and then we're gonna talk about some of the specific phylums, and that's it. And your experiment today is going to look at some a hydra and a planarian. I was trying to think what the other one was under a microscope slide. So today's going to be pretty easy. I'm not sure if she's going to show this video in class or if you're just going to have to watch this on your own. Either way, I'm just going to skim over the high points of honestly the first 8 sections. You haven't read that far yet, but I'm not going to go ahead and cover those because your quiz at the end of this week will cover the first 8 sections. So I'm just going to hit the high points on those. Okay, so just backing it up for a little bit, we are in the domain Eukarya. So I just found this picture. I liked it. Obviously, eukaryotes, and we're in the kingdom Animalia. Is where we're at. And in the kingdom Animalia, things can mostly be broken down into invertebrates, meaning they don't have a backbone, and vertebrates, which means they do. We'll get to the vertebrates later. Right now, we're mostly talking about invertebrates and all of the different phylums and some of the characteristics of them. I really liked this picture. I'll hold it there for a minute. Y'all can scan it. Covers the 9 different phylums within the animal kingdom. Most of which are invertebrates, makes up the majority of the animals in the world. So let's jump in. Okay, invertebrates, a few characteristics. One, how they reproduce. They can reproduce lots of different ways. Sexually, with a male and a female. Asexually, like the budding and all the things we learned about in some of the other chapters, if things are reproduced asexually. Some are hermaphrodites. You'll need to know what that is. A hermaphrodite means they have both male and female gametes. They have both male and female sex chromosomes. So they are both. They are neither male nor female. They are both in one animal. Several things are hermaphrodites. We'll talk about a few of them today. But you do need to know what that is. And they also reproduce with internal fertilization, meaning it happens within the parents. And external fertilization, which means they send out an egg and another one sends out a sperm, and then it joins outside of their body somewhere in the water or in the environment, but it actually doesn't happen in the body of the parent. That's external fertilization. That's pretty self-explanatory. Their life cycles. They have, some invertebrates have many stages. If they go through a lot of stages, that's what we call metamorphosis. Hang on, I gotta pull up something else I meant to look at. Time out. Wish I could pause the video. Hang on. Where did you go? Sorry. Just looking over my notes over here on the other side. Yep, metamorphosis, a developmental stage where an immature organism goes through extensive changes in the body as it plans to enter into an adult stage. You've learned about that since you were a kid, and you learned how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Another way we classify invertebrates is by symmetry, how things line up. Bilateral. Some animals have bilateral symmetry, which means if you chop them right down the middle, like it's the same on the left as it is on the right. They're mirrored images. People, we have bilateral symmetry. Several things do. But a lot of invertebrates have bilateral symmetry. They also have radial symmetry. We'll talk about that. But that means in a radial direction from the center, it shoots out in 5 or more different, I've lost my word. You'll see it when we get there. And you've probably already read about it. But it's symmetrical and more than just a mirror image. It's in radial segments. That's the word I was looking for. And then there are invertebrates that are asymmetrical, which means nothing on their body is symmetrical at all, like your sponges and a few of those. There's nothing about them that's symmetrical. They're just kind of shaped all over the place. Okay, some more things about invertebrates is their body systems. Circulatory, obviously we're thinking about blood. Some have open circulatory systems, which means there are no vessels and veins and arteries that blood travels. It's just the blood flows openly in their body and just goes around their organs. And that's how blood flow gets to their organs. It's all open. Versus a closed circulatory system, like you'll see certain animals, they do, like worms, earthworms. They have blood vessels and veins, and blood travels in vessels. It's not opened, not like an open cavity in their body where blood floats around. So some have closed circulatories and some have open circulatory systems. Another system we can classify invertebrates on is their digestive systems. Some have complete digestive systems, which means they have an opening, a mouth, and an anus. Food goes in the mouth and out the anus. It's complete. Some have incomplete digestive systems, which means they just have one opening. And food goes in and poop goes out the same hole. Those are incomplete digestive systems. Invertebrates can be classified by those. So that's just a very broad overview of some of the systems that invertebrates have. Okay, now we're not wasting any time. We're going to jump straight into some of the phylums. Now, some of these are intimidating not because they're complicated, but because they're hard to pronounce. But that's kind of all the stuff for me, as you've known. Porifera is our first phylum we're going to talk about in the invertebrates category. It's pretty easy. I didn't put a ton of information. It's your sponges. Some really cool videos that's tagged under your Google Classroom of showing how the sponges filter water, how they eat, all of that's in your book. Pretty cool to think about. They're different stages and how they can move, and then how they, when they get stationary, how they reproduce. All that's in there. I'm not going to read the whole chapter to you. I'm skimming, hitting the high notes. But your porifera is your sponges. The way I remember that is porous and porifera kind of sound similar. Anything that's porous can soak up water like a sponge. So porifera, sponges. Remember that. Okay, now the C is silent. This is Cnidaria. This is a really cool phylum. Your jellyfish are in it. Your sea anemones, the different stages they go through. We'll talk about that. Really neat stuff. I thought it was really cool. I loved how your chapter explains it really well, and how, we'll get there in a minute. Anyways, so we're going to jump. You can read all this yourself. I'm going to jump to this. This is pretty neat, how the different stages it goes through, right? So the polyp, which is fixed, but it'll eventually grow and let loose, and it won't be in its stationary stage of life. It's mostly, in the two stages, the polyp and the medusa. The medusa is easy to remember, I feel like, because its tentacles look longer to me than when it's in its polyp stage. The medusa is what we usually see in the jellyfish. That's what we're most common with. And then obviously it reproduces by external fertilization. The gamete from one medusa, a male, and the female gamete from another, they'll combine in the water and form your zygote, which turns into your planula, which will eventually go and fix itself to a spot and turn into a polyp. And then it turns back into a medusa, and we go around and around and around and around and around. Okay? You need to know that. But anyway, that's a lot of cool stuff about the Cnidarian. I thought it was really neat learning exactly how a jellyfish stings. I didn't know that till I read this, but the nematocytes and how they work and how they stick out, like the harpoon, and it paralyzes their prey, and then they can suck their prey in and eat it. All that's really cool. Sea anemones, that was really interesting, how they sting, but how the clownfish typically doesn't get stung. One, because of its mucus lining, and two, it's not actually attacking. It's just choosing to live there, and how it's like a mutualistic relationship. The clownfish provides nutrients by its poop to the sea anemone, and it cleans the anemone. And in return, the anemone provides protection to the clownfish. because a lot of things won't try to eat it because it's in the sea anemone and they don't want to get stung. So it's a pretty cool mutualistic benefit relationship there. Okay. Your hydras fall into the cnidarian since they also paralyze their prey with their tentacles. Y'all will be digging into the hydras today in the experiment and the slides. They're pretty cool little creatures. The more I learn about them, the more interesting they are. All of that falls into your cnidarian phylum. I think we're going to move on. The next phylum is, I'm going to go ahead and stop this one because if I do them in 10-minute segments, they're easier. And I'll upload another one in just a minute. So hang tight.